Fellow Ugandans, countrymen and women, I am known by the names Aroma Patrick. I am a legal professional, a community developer, and a person who has really participated in the governance process of this country, particularly through the UPC politics, where I served as the communication manager, national secretary for mobilization, and the national youth leader. And at the same time, I was the secretary of all the political parties in Uganda. I was elected by all the parties in 2005 to be their secretary. On top of that, I also chaired the Inter-Party Youth Platform. Today I want to tackle the MK movement. Muhoozi Kainerugaba movement in this country. How the MK movement presents a huge opportunity for democratic development and future stability. I am looking at the MK movement from a very different angle. Regardless of the intentions why the MK movement was formed, for example, mobilizing the youth for the NRM party, bringing Muhoozi Kainerugaba as a rallying point for the youth so that he mobilizes and counter the National Unity Platform, NUP. Since NUP had taken the majority of the young people, of course, to some extent they have achieved of rallying the young people in the name of creating the new movement. Now, regardless of those reasons, I'm looking at an opportunities actually, which the MK movement presents. One, reforming the NRM party. If the youth can take the center stage leadership within the NRM party, that would be a plus for Uganda. Because these youth have got different thinking from the traditional NRM. The progressive thinking of the young people are quite different. I told you I was the chairperson. I chaired the Inter-Party Youth Platform, which also had all the political youth wings of different political parties in Uganda, including NRM. So the thinking of the young people in NRM is they are extremely progressive. Now, if the majority of the young people can take up leadership position in NRM, that would be good for Uganda's democratic development. And two, I would call upon the MK movement to promote the rule of law and constitutionalism. How will the MK movement achieve this? The MK movement should become the advocates of the Constitution, this very Constitution. Now, Article 4 calls for the operationalization, calls for the creation of the awareness of this Constitution, translating the Constitution into the local languages. If the MK movement can take this as a project and work hand in hand with Uganda Law Society, Law Development Center, the National Youth Council, and then they train the youth at sub-county level on the Constitution so that the foundation of governance of this country roots in the Constitution. Let the people start appreciating the Constitution, and they also advocate for the restoration of the term limits in the Constitution, the restoration of the age limit for the good of the future of this country. The MK movement would have done Uganda a very big plus, because what Uganda wants to see is a functioning multi-party democracy rooted in the foundation of the Constitution, where human rights and rule of law are really respected. So the MK movement can actually achieve this properly. Next, the MK movement should advocate for good national values. I'm happy that there are certain values which the MK movement are championing. For example, fighting corruption. The MK movement has come out clearly to champion the cause of corruption in this country. If the MK movement can fight and root out corruption from the NRM party, you'd have done a big plus for this country. There are some other national values like national unity. We need national unity. National interest, justice and fairness, human rights. These are values which, if the MK movement can inculcate in the young cadres of the NRM, it would be a big plus because, for example, if the young cadres of the NRM can appreciate human rights values, it means that the opposition political parties can organize freely. Actually, the opposition political parties should take advantage of the MK movement to organize their youth leagues, their youth wings. FDC, NOP, UPC, DP should organize their youth wing. They can even inform the government, you have opened a space for MK. MK movement is moving freely to mobilize and organize the youth and the young people. Let the opposition also take that advantage and start organizing the young people. So that even the young people in the different political leagues should be trained on the values. First of all, the national values and the national interests of this country. Then the political ideologies of their respective political parties. So, the MK movement should really help this country in many ways. Fourthly, the MK movement should advocate for national reconciliation, dialogue, truth-telling, and opening of the civic space. This country has gone through a lot from 1986, 38 years of the NRM rule. A lot has really happened. There is need for a national dialogue, reconciliation, and truth-telling so that this country can heal and people move forward. So the MK movement can become a champion of this. So that Uganda sees that the progressive thinkers of the NRM are quite different. And above all, the MK movement should present a human face of the new NRM, the new movement. And that human face should be rooted in civilian governance. In fact, the head of the MK movement, General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, at all functions should be putting on civilian clothes. Just put on civilian clothes. Don't put on the army uniform. This is our appeal to General Muhoozi. For example, President Museveni retired from the army in 1996 to now participate in civilian governance, to become a civilian. But in most of the functions, he still puts on military uniform, general. We want the military to be demystified in our politics. All the functions that General Muhoozi will be participating in, let the MK, let General Muhoozi put on civilian uniform. Civilian, purely. and then they interact freely. It's good that the MK movement is engaged in many social activities, like cleaning markets. They are organizing workshops, debates, and all that. Eh? We do not want the army to take the center stage of the MK movement. Demystify the army so that Uganda moves on a democratic path. This is what I see that the MK movement can seriously contribute towards our democratic governance. Thank you, fellow Ugandans.